Hello and welcome to another session of Block Chat. Today is a spotlight session. As you're used to, at the brief, we have no hype. It's just a scientific approach. And Spotlight sheds light on a member of our team at Blocksquare and Oceanpoint. Today, it's a special individual, a special team member. Every member is a special team member, yeah? You tell us that every member is a special team member. Is a special team member who has so much to do with the success of the outcome that we have at Blocksquare and Oceanpoint. Dite, how are you?
Hey Makram,
How
I'm
are
doing
you?
amazing today. Thank
You're an
you.
architect?
Thank you for this good introduction.
Thank you. You're an architect.
Yes,
You're an innovator. You have worked on several dApps since 2015, and today you're at Blocksquare. What do you do at Blocksquare, and how do you help us get well presented to the community and the world? And what do you add to our technology?
yes. So I'm an architect, but not the type that usually people think. I don't do anything with buildings. I mainly work around the architecture of, interactions with blockchain, decentralized applications, because as you know it on the Web3 world, pretty much you have to do a lot more planning than the other applications. Because once you're out there live with smart contracts, then it becomes much more difficult to change things. And especially if you move a protocol all over to the DAO, then that gets even more complicated to make any changes because you give away your power. So that's what I kind of do if I could come back, is that I work with Denis, with you, and the rest of the team to try to get as many of these incentives, the protocol like flow, trying to predict what might happen, and then obviously pulling a lot of knowledge from other protocols that I've worked with in the past to try to build the best offering that we have out there for bringing this major asset of real estate to blockchain. I'm a bit of a decentralization fundamentalist, if you may, that I really like things that are not hidden behind the paywalls or special memberships, etc. And I think that's what makes me really excited about working with Blocksquare, because it's like a DeFi protocol, with its own DAO, and pretty much anyone out there can have access to it. There's no special dark rooms where people are meeting. We're out in the open. It's transparent. As this call today, it's like we're out there for everyone to hear, see, and learn about what we're doing. And that's really makes me exciting because this hasn't been the history in the type of investment, especially real estate investment, is very much a secluded type of investment class where different people made different deals and the public wasn't very much. So yeah.
So Dennis says in DeFi, or what we are doing currently, you can't do a mistake. You do it once. And when you do it once, it needs to be right. And
Yes.
this is what you're responsible for. And there is much that does not show within an audit. Whenever you're building a protocol, whenever you're working with code, there's too many variables and dynamic parts where people do not really see the parameters it flows within. And this is why when you talk to somebody, and this is something I struggled to understand for very long, when you talk to somebody who's into tech, this side of tech, and there is a delay in the project, they tell you it's normal. There's a delay in the project. It needs more time. Finished. And tell me more about that mindset. Why? And tell me more about how do you make sure that the protocols you're working on are foolproof? How do you make sure that it's not subject to intrusions beyond the norm that is tried and tested? So there's always new parameters for exploiting a code and new ways to do so. How do you make
Yes.
sure that that's not possible within what you're working on?
Yeah, that's you put it very nice. So there's actually two ways on how like these things can be attacked to. And I think the first way is, let's call it like the social or like the democratic way, where we build code and algorithms that actually are designed in a way and they're implemented very well. So they do what we designed well. But what happens is that what we designed has like holes in it. Okay. So when we build these Web3 protocols, we're almost like, in a way, like the founding fathers. And because there's a governance involved later on, and this governance is not like, oh, we have an opinion. It's more like they have, because code is law, they have a direct access to it. It's kind of like a George Washington of Web3 protocol, because you have to build some principles that the people who will use it will gain the most benefit, because once it's out there in the world, you don't have a lot of kind of like controls and mechanisms to fix it. Obviously, we try to make our best so that we kind of do that gradually, that we don't just directly dump it, but it's a very much like an industry-wide issue. And then on top of that, you have also the issue where, let's say you kind of like think and design a feature of how something is supposed to be working, and then there's like the kind of like the classical bug where the code doesn't have all the cases fit in as the feature was designed, and what that makes is then the architecture and the white paper thought of is very well, but then there's a software bug and someone can exploit that. And on a Web3 as a whole and on a DeFi as a whole, we see both of these hacks happening almost on a weekly basis. And obviously, we are very well protected from these issues, but it's always good to try to see what can we do, what kind of code principles can we put out there, so that when we're like launching this massive fund, which I think it's growing into a massive exciting project, how can all these people like get the most of it, be safe while using it, and at the same time benefit both parties of the marketplace?
So 3 things I would like you to define for me, please. For those who are not into tech, for our fathers, and their fathers probably, because some of our fathers may be into tech, can you please explain which part do you interact with and impact that people see? So obviously you're not working on the interface that people see, you're working on the engine behind it. But what part is impacted by your work? So people care about the result that they get. They don't really, or it doesn't really matter to them how do they get there. They do understand that there's something that happens in the background and this comes out. So what part, in simplistic terms, in non-tech terms, if you can, are you responsible of impacting?
Yeah, so I think, me and Dennis, we have a lot of general conversations about the structure of how we should build the mechanisms for all these like rewards, for returns, to incentivize all the stakeholders. Because in our ecosystem, we have quite a few stakeholders. So some of the ideas on how to do that, they come from me. Then we challenge them with Dennis, with you and the other guys. And so they like create an overall structure of the protocol itself. And then on top of that, I do help coding the subgraph, which is basically not what you see, but is the numbers that flow through what you see. I do look at the smart contract architecture, kind of like review the job that developers are doing, so that, for example, when you deposit a BSPT token or when your real estate is there, all the rules that we set up are followed, like the locking time, rewards time, different things like swapping it around, making sure it's not transferable. All of these rules, from like principle all the way to code, is something that I help with on a weekly basis, pretty much.
So if I can explain it in a non-tech way, what you take care of is first the product structure, from if I would say the rewards and the benefits that parties do see out of the product. 1, 2, you make sure you supervise the way the code works. so that the engine is well oiled and is sustainably developed and performs the right way. Yeah. So what you take care of is making sure that things are produced efficient, effective, and shiny, and go out to the world well.
Yes, yes.
Cool.
There's a good old saying that says like doing the right thing and then doing the thing right. You know, so
Okay. So
so it's
explain
both
that to
both
me.
parts of the equation.
Okay. So doing the right thing or doing the thing right? Explain it to me.
Yeah. Well, for example, this is what I see today, just general in the software world, is that there's a lot of software being built. Okay, we've never built more software in the world than in today's and these years. There's a lot of venture capital, a lot of programmers. But what's happening is that a good 90% of it like either fails, doesn't get delivered, kind of is stuck up in a shelf, which we are lucky is not our case. We're like full swing there. And actually, thanks to guys like you who go and find real estate and all of that thing. But what I see is that is a lot of the question of building the right thing. Okay. You can build a perfect tool, but if it's not the right one, people won't use it and there won't be a community or ecosystem around it that utilizes it. Okay. And then the
You did
second part is,
You triggered something in my head now that's perfect with that saying of yours, doing the right thing or doing things right. Please continue, and then I'll talk about that for a second.
okay. Yeah. So pretty much. And then after you have the right thing, it's like you have to do it right. Okay, like take another example just outside of the sphere. You look at the Tesla cars, like electric car saves the environment, is the solar panel, is the right thing. Okay, but then doing it right, mass producing it, getting all the poles, all the the battery cells you need, all of that, and that's another whole level of sophistication. And I think they are both important. Both
100%. So
important.
I always say tech is not for tech. It's not a fancy thing that lives on its own in a silo. Tech is meant to improve our lives. And
Yes.
the ability of people in tech to see the problem so that they can impact the solution is very important. And that's why it's great to have people like you in tech who understand this side, people like Denis in tech who understand this side of the world and the other side, so that tech can be built as a solution to problems. Otherwise, it wouldn't help us much. The second thing is when you said it's doing what's right or doing the right thing, actually, many people may want to do the right thing, but if they don't do it right, they get nowhere. And I believe this is a dilemma that most of innovation lives within. They have the idea, the theory right. They want to do it right.
Yes.
Yet, or they want to do the right thing, sorry, and they're doing the right thing probably. Yet, doing it right is a totally different story. Perfect.
Yes.
That's brilliant. So you gave me something today to digest all through this evening. You're in Prague now. There's
Yes.
definitely much happening around you. What would you say is the biggest thing happening on the technological scene today?
Yeah. Generally in Prague, we kind of like have a lot of foreign companies coming in now. So they're investing a significant value to have access to the Prague to the general Czech technical talent pool. So we have all of the big companies. They're usually doing corporate world, or they have an offshoot of software here. We did have a couple of crypto startups, like we have Satoshi Labs here.
Mhm.
A friend of mine who just came from the Bitcoin conference in Miami. They call it a conference, but it's just a big party, right? And so, and so he said
Look,
Satoshi
it's a
Labs was
conference in the
there.
American terms. In the European terms, it's a big party. So yeah.
Yeah, so they're building Satoshi Labs is quite known. One thing that I know from that I really like here in Czech general is, well, I don't know if I like it, but one thing that is happening is that we have a very low unemployment. So we are the lowest unemployment in Europe, and basically every business I know needs people. Like they're looking for workers from IT to restaurants to everything, and that what is fueling like an automation revolution. So we have like machines that you can order almost everywhere. Like there's no waiter, you just go, you order in a machine, and the coffee or whatever they're making, it's coming back. And it's very exciting because that's like the first layer of automation. But then later, you will also probably have the coffee being made by a robot, or the McDonald's, or whatever you like. And that would also be pretty exciting because it will free a lot of people to do things that they have a lot more impact on. So that's what I would say,
So
kind of like the current, yeah.
this is what you see in the scenery around you. Give me one project aside of Blocksquare that you've worked on ever that you were so excited about and it actually pleasantly surprised you in a positive way.
Hey, that's very interesting. Yeah, so one project that we did was a bit earlier. We built like an app called Moonstone, and it was the first wallet that you could hold Bitcoin and Ethereum and BitShares, another precursor to Dan Larimer, who went on to develop a few other protocols. And it was quite exciting because I did it in my hometown of Pristina in the southeast Europe in Kosovo. And we went all the way to Texas Bitcoin conference to present it. So it was very exciting. First days of three guys, four guys on a table, and things like that. So that was pretty cool. I also did another one with e-signature. This was the latest, like 2 years ago, where I just built uh, we had like a hackathon, and I built a way to verify documents using a QR code and blockchain. It was a very like weekend solution. We did it in a day. And afterwards, the bank we did it for, they're like, yeah, we want to fund this. And there was also another startup accelerator. They're like, yeah, you should join our batch. And so me and my previous partner, we did that, and we raised money, and we built the app, and we scaled it and got bigger customers. So that was all,
What happened
bringing
with that
block.
project now?
It's still ongoing. It's actually my partner is more involved with it. So it's an e-signature tool for blockchain. And yeah, so it was pretty exciting to just go from a hackathon to all of these like corporate offices of people and try to bridge the gap between like what do you call like the crypto bros and the corporate lawyers and all that stuff. So it was very, very interesting,
It probably plugs
interesting phenomenon.
perfectly into the future of real estate transacting as well, in a way or other. Um,
Yeah,
Give
yeah.
me one technology that you see today and you don't believe would survive. It's something that's hyped today, overhyped, but you do not believe it would survive.
Okay, so now here you're
And
taking me to
be
the
brave,
dirty
go ahead
waters.
all the way through.
You're taking me to the dirty waters. But it's very good. I like your line of questioning. I think, Makram, one thing that I really find a bit odd is this whole metaverse thing, you know. So I was a skeptic of doing things with a headset, and I have a friend who's a big headset fan. But think of it yourself. How many people do you know that use like a VR headset on a daily basis? It's not a lot of people, you know. How many of them are using it on a weekly basis, right? Maybe you have a headset. I had one at home. I use it the first week. And so I was talking to a friend, like people, we love to do things in a natural way. Like I love to fly over to Dubai, get some local food, meet with you, have a few signatures. Like the sense of work is not only work, you know. Or if I meet with my colleagues, we solve a bug and then we go, somewhere for lunch. It's all like social. It's all intermingled, right? And my friend, he's like, no, reconsider this. Like, metaverse is the future. We're all going to be shopping e-commerce on a headset. I was like, I don't like shopping anyways. Why would I want to do with a
Talk to my
headset?
wife. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, my girlfriend would probably use it, but and uh, and so it doesn't connect. I just not seeing it happening. And I went to a VR cinema last week just to give it another chance, and I really like it. But maybe the tech is not there. Maybe our behavior needs to change. It's kind of like another thing that I remembered, Makram, is that when you have a startup or you're starting something new, you need some miracles to happen for it to be successful. Okay, like if you look at, for example, Google, they wanted to index the whole internet. That was like a miracle on how can you do that at that time. Okay, but they got the miracle and it worked. And then if you look at, for example, Airbnb, their miracle was like, we for us to succeed, we need a miracle to happen where people freely share their home with strangers on internet. And somehow they made this miracle, it happened, and they're super successful. But
thanks God
where
they
I'm
didn't put
talking
this in their deck. Yeah. So,
But if you look at it, okay, when someone tells me a startup idea or a tech where you need 2 or 3 or 4 miracles to happen, I start being suspicious. And so the metaverse looks
Metaverse
like
probably to look. I agree 100% to you. Probably we've built so much hype into it
yeah,
that now it needs too many miracles for what's hyped, what's being drawn to happen. However, look, I believe you agree with me. There's so many uses for the metaverse, education on the metaverse. Yeah, I agree yet with you. I've worked for hours just not to put a headset while we're on this stream. So when I started, they told me you can't. If you're using this software, if you're using NDI, if you're using this technology, you need a headset. Otherwise, you'll not hear a clear voice. And I seriously sat for hours just not to put a headset or ear pods. And um, you know what? I agree. But don't you feel the metaverse does have a future?
I think it probably will have a future. Like they are pushing it so much that it will kind of like give itself an existence. But think about this, Makram. When iPhone came out, it was kind of like iPhone came out and it was like a magic. People would get it, and if somebody got it, they wouldn't stop talking about it. It was like staying for 4 hours a day on it, 5 hours a day on it. And now today, even the geekish friends that I know, because I have friends from all spheres of life,
Mhm.
uh, I don't see people spending a lot of time in the metaverse. Like I haven't seen. And when that
Yeah.
starts happening, I'm like, okay, this might be on to something. But it's just
My
I don't
7 year
feel
old
it. And
son is making up for them, by the way. If
oh
we
yeah,
don't stop him, he will spend 24 hours there. Yeah, he
oh
started with
really?
Roblox and on he goes from there.
Yeah.
And now play to earn games. But by the way, you've sparked something now in my head. I agree with you. I don't see many people spending time there. Akeem said something last week. He was with me on a spotlight, and Akeem is one of our guys. For whoever haven't seen that episode, is one of our advisors at Blocksquare, and is the president and co-founder of Fibri. Akeem said it's the same thing approximately. He said again, I don't want to put words into his mouth that he haven't said, but he expressed the same concern. He said that we are doing the same mistakes we've done before in the regular universe on the metaverse, so he doesn't see a point in it.
Yeah.
So in a way or another, each person is skeptical about the metaverse for a reason.
Yeah.
And the reason depends on his knowledge, his experience, and his side of things. Tell me more about why would you believe we need to, in your view, do tokenization of real estate the way we're doing? And why would real estate and real estate tokens exist positively on a DeFi protocol and within pools, liquidity pools or asset pools on DeFi?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, one of my at least like personal motivations, is that, for example, I look here in Prague or my hometown in Pristina, or maybe probably in Dubai, there's a lot of construction happening. There's a lot of real estate trading hands, a lot of new buildings being built, which is amazing. You know, people are living more comfortable lives. They can move there, but somehow it feels like all the proceeds and all the benefits from, like, let's say my city changing is they are locked within a set of people that belong to this kind of like work, kind of like people like you who hunt properties, they sell them, they know everything about it. And so I think what Blocksquare and Ocean Point do in this level is that we can all be a part of what's being built here, and we can all take the wins or the losses if we choose to be involved in it, you know. And the second thing is, I think, just the sheer level of how to say, like, globalization. Like, think of it like Denis is down in Ljubljana, Slovenia. Let's say like there's a Chinese investor from Shanghai. He's just a normal guy. He wants to invest $2,000 in the Slovenian real estate market. If he were to do that the traditional way, it will almost be impossible. He would have to go all the way
It will literally
there.
be impossible. So it will take him a ticket. It will get him there only.
Yeah, exactly. He would need like a translator. He would have to get the legal deals. He would then have to translate them officially, probably do a bunch of trips with the whole bureaucracy and everything. And so what Ocean Point gives him, it gives him all the upside of investing there, and it makes amazing use of his capital, and then it deploys it directly, and you can do it quickly, and you can do it in a democratized way. It doesn't matter much like where exactly are you from, what is your background, who you know, all of these things that kind of like restricted these fields. And for me that is very exciting, and it's almost like is what I got in crypto for, because we need to have a more how to say, like, at least in a society with equal access, with equal rights. And then what they do with these rights is totally up to them, as blockchain has seen. Okay, some people might want to buy an NFT, others might want to buy a part of an apartment, and all of these things make me really excited. And then
So,
we will have, as you said, yeah.
so sorry, what were you saying?
Well, I was just saying that we will have these different like asset pools with liquidity providers. Basically, there will be something for everyone.
So let me understand you, Dite. Your history, how have you got where you got today? So where were you educated?
I did. I went to, so my last year in high school, I went in US. Then I did a
Where in the US?
computers in Austin, Texas, for the
Okay.
most part.
But
It's a
before that,
beautiful
where
place.
were you? Were you in Prague?
No, I was in Kosovo. Sorry. So I
Okay.
was born and raised in Kosovo all the way to 2009
Okay.
when I began my journey. Went there to US. Then I went to Greece to study computer science
So what did you
at
study in the
Sheffield
US?
University. It was like a high school, so it was kind of
Okay.
just general classes.
Okay. And then went to
And
Greece. You studied computer science?
yes,
Why?
yes, with to be honest with you, I was looking like what are the future careers that are coming up, and I read an article. No one in my family is like a computer scientist. Like I have some engineers, but and I didn't like math so much. I was scared of math, to tell you the truth. And I read an article that said in 5 years, there will be a huge demand for software developers, and there will not be enough of them because they're not getting educated. So I was like, what the heck? Let's
I
do it.
hope I read that article that day. So, although I don't believe I'm wired to become anything related to a software engineer or a computer scientist. So you've done computer science and you've graduated what year?
So 2000, so 2013, 14? Yeah,
Okay.
2014, I
When
think.
was the first time you got introduced to crypto?
it was around, yeah. So after that, I went to Sweden, did a year of a master in computer science again with a program. And then that summer, Makram, I went home. It was like 2014, 15, I'm not sure. But I went to my hometown in Pristina, and uh, there wasn't much of a tech ecosystem. I was looking for a job, but it was kind of like some strange offers, and I just didn't click with anyone. And I needed money because I just graduated. So I found two other guys, and they were kind of like, "Oh, we want to do something. It's around crypto, this thing." So we decided, okay, let's try it, and we basically found a customer from California who was paying us in Bitcoin then. And
Okay.
this, I think at this time, Bitcoin was like $80 or $120 or something like that.
Hopefully you didn't
And so
sell
we,
those bitcoins, did you?
of course, I did.
I
I told you
liquidated
I was
them, and
broke.
that's the. That was in 2014, yeah?
Yeah, 2014, 15, that time. And so the wire didn't even work. So he's just like, I'll send you guys Bitcoin. And people ask me, and I tell them like, I wish I chose it, but I really didn't. It was just like a mishap of, I might have as easily entered into like IoT or some
Yep.
voice over IP solution or anything that was available.
Yep.
And yeah, so
So
that
this is
was
this
very
is the first
interesting.
interaction for you with cryptocurrency in general.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And post that, so you started definitely developing. You've been part of very successful projects. You've been part of our beautiful, amazing project, and you are behind the architecture of many projects that we see running today. However, I'm sure that there is one project that is that you believe would be a very big part of your future wealth, or will create a very big part of your future wealth. Which project is that?
To be honest, I will start probably from like the protocol, the base protocols. I am a big believer in Ethereum. I think it's a very good base protocol. It has stand the test of time. Uh, Venture capitalist investors every 2 years they try to discover a Ethereum killer, and despite all the billions invested, somehow it just isn't hanging on. So I really believe in Ethereum from the early days. And then I also like another smaller main net, which is called Secret Network. It's almost like Ethereum itself, but it's just encrypted.
Okay.
So you get like a zero knowledge proofs there, and it's based on the Enigma paper written by MIT. As actually one of the writers found a secret network then, and you can write smart contracts a similar way as Ethereum, but they are only like encrypted. And so that will have a lot of use cases because no matter how much we both love transparency, there's just transactions that need to happen in encrypted ways. Like there's no way we're all going to go to an open world
That's cool.
way.
That's cool. And
Uh,
do you see much used or put on the secret network today? It's called the secret.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
SCRT.
Okay.
I do see a lot of like uses from it. Like people are building quite some smart contracts on it. They also do have a very formidable team. Kind of like even because here's the thing, the teams that are very good at developing, they usually miss a bit of marketing. And this is something where we're all a bit faulty of because we think, oh yeah, I'll just build another feature, but the world doesn't know what you're building.
Yeah.
There's millions of people building, and so you need to have a way to put the word out there. And I think to some level, Secret has done that quite well. But then also, I mean, I have to come back to Ocean Point, and I think one of the reasons looking at it as an investor now, I really like it because the whole crypto is kind of like unstable. You have the stable coins, but then you have a lot of other ones. And the thing is that you need like a stable asset class. Even if every fund just diversifies like slightly with the Ocean Point properties, which I think now the average yield is like 5.53.
Yep.
That is going to create a massive demand for the tokens. And so I'm really bullish on Ocean Point. And also I might be biased because I also work daily on making that available together with you. So I do have a bit more power than, let's say, what Ethereum does. Uh, so that makes me very
So
excited
let me ask you
about
some
its free
difficult
presence.
questions here. Okay.
Okay.
One, do you really believe that all stable coins will live without one, at least of them, become is a disaster very soon?
I think, I mean, you have to look at them on case by case basis, right? So for me personally, for my personal research, always do like your own research, but I think USDC has very strong capital controls. And if I'm correct, it's kind of launched by Coinbase, and I've been their user for a very long time. They've had some small mishaps, but on every step, even if they file things with the SEC, like they had this scandal with the rent, where they try to lend, become like a borrower and bank. What I really like about this company is that they were super transparent about all of it, even when it cost them. So I don't, I have the utmost respect for them. When it comes to things like Tether, frankly, I do not keep my funds in Tether. I I just have maybe this perception that things around Binance, including the Binance chain and the way that it has like designated node operators that are set up, and the whole Binance, China connection and all of that thing, it makes me a bit more wary. Not because there's anything wrong with the Chinese folks, but we know how business is done when you have a corporation that kind of
That's
sits a
Dite's
lot.
disclaimer, guys. That Dite's personal opinion does not represent our opinion by any means. So, uh, so
Yes.
don't you believe that there is don't you believe that there is a place in our world for stable coins that are backed by fundamental assets, businesses, beyond the direct dollar peg, which is a difficult thing to make sense of? If you have a stable coin with a fiat peg, at the end of the day, the economy behind it is very either non-transparent or very specific, if I can say. While if you have a stable coin and the backing of it is not a fiat, it's either assets, real estate assets, or incomes from any kind of assets, or somehow stable commodities, although I don't believe there is stable commodities in the world, especially today. Don't you feel that there is a place for this kind of coin?
I think so, definitely. I mean, if you look at the current inflation with the USD, that's like, I think I saw a stat that like 25% of all the dollars in circulation have been printed in the last 7 months, which is a stackingly big number. Okay. How are people like, this goes back to traditional finance, which you are very, very knowledgeable on. But I think how people hedge around the inflation is they try to take kind of position in real estate and take it in other assets that might be losing less value with time. And we know that with real estate, for the most part, you always have like an upward trend because we simply need more places and there's more demand on them. And so I think for me, my ultimate solution, my executive conclusion would kind of be a mix dominated heavily by real estate. So you would have a basket of high real stable estate, then a couple of other smaller fractions, and that will give you like a stable coin that is backed almost like how we had the physical gold before. Now you have the actual real estate.
Yeah.
And I think that would be very much welcomed by the crypto world.
Perfect.
And I'm bullish on it.
So do you say like what I say to people who hold today any stable coin that's pegged to the fiat currency, and they say, yeah, why would we have our money in dollars? Dollars are losing value. We have them in this stable coin. And I tell them, guys, if it's pegged, it's pegged. It inflates the same way, it deflates the same way, the value is the same. So for you to have your money in a stable coin which is pegged to something that acts differently, you need to have your coin pegged to an asset which cash flows. Why is cash flow important? Because regardless of the asset value, if your asset is paying you rent tomorrow or paying you dividends tomorrow, it's paying you based on tomorrow's dollars, tomorrow's euros, tomorrow's fiat currency. So that allows you that ability to maneuver in a positive way. So perfect to the point, 100%. And then if you have that mix with a big portion of similar to real estate, that would be great. So people should be probably subscribing to Oceanpoint and have points, hold point, because at the end of the day, you are part of an ecosystem that is built based on fundamentals. You know, we don't mint coins just to mint coins. It's not that we have printing machines and we're doing them, and neither does our code do that. So very interesting chat with you. Are you married?
No, I have a girlfriend, but not married.
Do you have kids?
No.
A very lucky man for the marriage side, not for the kids side yet. So, Dite, today you live in Prague. You work on Blocksquare, Oceanpoint. Something you want to tell our community, and you usually say, I want to say this on Discord or on Telegram, and you don't. What would you tell our community today?
Well, first, I really want to thank all of them. Like, to be honest, I've been a recent part, and I see that a lot of them have been part of the ecosystem for a while, and that takes true determination. And I think they really feel connected to the authenticity that comes from Oceanpoint and Blocksquare with the head Denis, pretty much. And so I really just want to thank them. And the second thing is that I think, guys, we're all a part of something that is going to really go up very much in terms of adoption and everything. And it's coming to the point, like before I used to talk to people about BST, but now I can admit this to you, Makram, I feel a bit secretive about it. Like, I don't want everyone to know because I want us to enjoy and kind of like, yes, have it all in some way.
Let's have a liquidity pool. Let's have a liquidity pool to buy everything that's for sale in the market.
Yeah, exactly. Let's do it. And it's about time. Like, I think we are close to the tipping point, and this is just my observations, okay?
This is not investment advice, but it's not only your observation, it's our feeling. This is how we feel about it scientifically. Yeah,
and we put our money where our mouth is, like we're both like spending quite some time around the protocol, and it's the tipping point where the world sees that, okay, DeFi and real estate can actually work together in a almost permissionless way. That is like the key where it's like opens the floodgates. And personally, I don't like the traditional venture capital so much, so I'm glad I'm there earlier, so then I can dump on these guys. I'm just kidding.
Guys, I love you, so don't worry. That's only Dite. I love you, and I'm gonna hold on to you, and I love when you come in. I don't love when you go out, but I love when you come in. So we have a challenge here. A challenge was started last week. I'm sure you've heard the piece that we recorded for Denis, where it was a voice, and then we put his picture on it. And he explained Oceanpoint. So the challenge that has been put on by Julia, our new CMO, and a dear member of our team, is who can do a better job describing Oceanpoint and what we're doing at Oceanpoint than Denis. Now, this is a challenge for you. Actually, it should be more challenging because, guys, when somebody who's so technical is trying to describe and define something in a totally non-technical way, it's really challenging, because his terminology usually are an engineer's and our architects professionals terminology. So let's see if you can do a better job in putting it through in a very simple way where people like me, who are not tech people, would understand it.
Okay. So non-technical people. Okay. So I would probably say it's almost like a democratically governed crypto fund that diversifies properties all around the world and is global and permissionless for trading from the early days. Did I just confuse people more?
No, not really. It's short and sweet. Now we will need to expand on some explanations, but I believe short and sweet, and it does not have a difficult terminology to understand. What is one thing that you would change today if you were looking at the whole tech that is being used, and you're looking at Blocksquare, you're looking at how we're taking this message out to the world? What is one thing that you would change? You would tell me, Makram, or you tell Julia, we need to change this thing and we need to communicate it in a different way.
I think that's a very good question. I think we might need to maybe, and this is just for my thinking, but maybe do like a couple of real estate models like around the world, like financial ones, how they grow, how they move, just to show that there's a massive growth happening worldwide in real estate, and communicate that with like, infographics or something like that in such a way that it gets people excited. And the second thing that because I'm a bit of a evangelizer for Oceanpoint.fi. I talk to a lot of people in real estate, etc., to kind of like establish that link between the actual property and the BSPT token on the internet, and explain how it's like directly connected and how you don't physically own it, but you can get rewards from it. And when we establish these 2 points, I think a lot of traditional folk would be running to get in.
Perfect. That's work for Julia, probably. Thank you. Very valuable insight into it. Today, guys, we got to meet Dite, the man, the architect, the software architect, and the tech architect, not the traditional architect. Do you know, by the way, that Denis is an architect, is a traditional architect?
Oh, really? I didn't know.
I was shocked when I got to know few maybe months ago, but he's a traditional architect. So today, guys, we met Dite, the software architect, a member of our team at Blocksquare and Oceanpoint, someone who's putting his efforts, his know-how into getting the engine well-oiled and working well. Dite, any message to our community and the world beyond?
Keep staying with us, guys. We depend on you as much as you depend on us. So I'm really happy to be part of this ecosystem, and I'm looking forward to doing these kind of things more. It was great to talk to you today, Makram.
Any question you would have wanted me to ask you that I didn't?
I don't think so right now. Looks like you covered everything.
Hopefully I did. I hope that we added value. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your involvement, dedication, and that spirit. Guys, it's very difficult to find people in tech who do understand way beyond tech, and I do understand how the rest of the world works. It's very difficult also to see people who dedicate and commit to projects at such a level for such a long period, similar to every single one of our community members. I thank you all. Dite, thank you so much. And today, guys, we've covered another session of Spotlight with a member of our team, a valuable member of our team who's with us and hopefully will be with us for a very long time to come. On Block Chat, thank you so much. It's Makram Hani. Have a good day.